Hi, my name is Ellen Heed, and I'm here to talk to you about Yoga for Better Sex. It's a workshop I'll be teaching that connects the dots between yoga, sexuality, and our attention. What happens in yoga practice over time is the kind of attention that we spend with ourselves on the mat starts a process of inquiry where we get curious about what's happening on the inside of our skin. That process starts to expand into the moments when we're off the mat, including our sexuality. And I'm here to connect the dots and show you how attention to attention, using meditative techniques, craniosacral techniques, and asana can actually improve our sexual lives. I hope you can join me because this is going to be a fantastic workshop full of so much information. We'll be talking about the sexual anatomy of men, sexual anatomy of women, and how asana can influence and improve our condition of sexuality and its expression as we learn to focus our attention and learn to improve our communication skills and enrich our sexual lives as a result of those things. The class format for Yoga for Better Sex will look like this. There are 5 separate modules, and each module will include information and a practice and plenty of time for questions and answers. I want everyone who comes to this class to get all of their questions answered, and I hope they bring great curiosity and great inquiry into this subject, because this is something that the dots aren't so connected between yoga, sensuality, and sexuality, and I'm here to connect those dots for people. The format of the class starts with a slideshow with a lot of information, a lot of very specific information about anatomy, physiology, and neural functionality. After that, we'll go into a specific practice. It may be a hip opening practice, a breathing practice, or a conversation with another person about what it is to be an embodied human being. Those practices will inform sexuality. They are not sexual practices. And after that, more time for questions and answers. I want to make sure everybody's questions get answered fully. People ask me if sexual techniques are going to be part of the class. We will learn about sexual techniques. We will not be doing sexual techniques in the class. In other words, I might talk about arousal as a trajectory of what's possible for the human nervous system, but that doesn't mean we're going to be doing arousal. I will be pointing the direction to amazing resources, from videos to books to slideshows to other teachers, if people want to learn specifically how to do sexual techniques. This is not a techniques class, it's an about class. It's the nuts and bolts of sexuality that you can put together in your own way to create a better sensual sexual experience for yourself as an individual, or to enrich a relationship you may already be in. People ask me if Yoga for Better Sex is about Tantra, and no, it's not. It may include some of the notions that are popular in the Tantric approach, notions about the potential for building sexual arousal over a long period of time. I talk about the nervous system and what's possible erotically, but from the point of view of Western anatomy and physiology, as well as how to start to regulate the nervous system in a sexual context, much in the same way we regulate our nervous system in a yoga context. This is a class for everybody, not just for people who are having problems with their sex life, but for people who are having a great sex life, who would actually like to improve it, or for people who are having no sex life and would like to understand what the components of a fulfilling sexual life might be. We have to start with the parts and how they function and how we can access those parts and avail them of all the benefits of yoga practice. There's a relationship between our sexuality and the way our parts work, and how open our hips are, for instance, and how much circulation we can bring into our pelvic floor, how much mindfulness we can bring to our habits and patterns that set us up for the same old sexual dysfunction time and time again. There's a way to bring the learning, the somatic learning that we have in yoga practice, to our sexuality in a way that's healthy and fulfilling. People ask if they need a partner in order to participate in this class, and the answer is no. Sexuality is our own responsibility. Our primary sexual partner in this life is ourselves. And the more we can relate in an embodied way of somatic learning to our sexual experience, which yoga actually teaches us to do, the more self-responsible we can become in terms of our sexuality. This is a co-ed event. That means that men and women are equally welcome. How men will benefit from this class is specifically getting into the patterns of tension that constrain their hip flexors, their hip extensors, and the muscles, the external rotators at the back of the hip region. Men are traditionally and usually quite tight in the hips. We'll be working specifically with opening up the energetic pathways in the hip structure of a male pelvis. How women will benefit from this is to actually learn all of their parts. I can tell you that what I've learned from the clients I've worked with in the past is that even their gynecologists don't know all of the parts and how they function. So we'll be learning in detail how all of women's sexual parts function and how to tell where you are in an erotic trajectory based on felt sensations in your body. People ask me, what does better mean when I talk about yoga for better sex? From my perspective, what better means is sex that is informed, sex that is safe, and communication that is held in an easy, complete, and sacred manner. That sexuality is our sacred relationship to our body. And that better means we acknowledge the sacredness. We acknowledge where the shame comes up, and then we understand what's behind the shame. And when the shame starts to disintegrate because there's actual information there, instead of ignorance, sadness, confusion, embarrassment, then sex becomes really juicy and really happy.